I'm going to run you through, I think, what is the most unique vehicle that we have in the whole Patriot Games fleet.
Yeah, taking these chances, they wouldn't give me the answers, so I gotta go out and get it. I'ma hold them all for ransom.
If you've got a young family, you can do all your standard commuting, but you can still get out there and go touring with 7-Up in the Isuzu MU-X. Let's get into it. How we going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Patriot Garage. And in this episode of Patriot Garage, I'm going to run you through, I think, what is the most unique vehicle that we have in the whole Patriot Games fleet and what led us to putting an Isuzu MU-X into the Patriot Games fleet.
Yeah, taking these chances, they wouldn't give me the answers, so I gotta go out and get it. I'ma hold them all for ransom. This how I planned it, did it right here where I'm standing. Came from the mud, they counted us out. Now we standing on the planet.
Actually, let's start with that. Let's go straight into that straight away because we've gotten more comments, I think, throughout the series on why we have an MU-X over any other vehicle that we have. Obviously, the 6-wheel drive and the black truck and all the big trucks that we have, they make perfect sense in the realms of what we do, but there was always an identified gap. You know, we started off chopping wagons into 5-seaters, and as the family's starting to grow and we go on trips and we've got a big crew with us, we really needed that capacity of a 7-seat vehicle. Now, let me take you right back to the start when we first decided that this was something that we were going to add into the fleet. This vehicle was actually built for my brother. It was built for Bobby for a trip that didn't happen because of the worldwide pandemic. Now, we had a massive trip planned for the season of Patriot Games, which never eventuated. I'm not going to say where it is because we are still planning on doing that trip. We kept pushing it back, border closures, COVID happening. The trip never actually happened, so we never really got to see the full extent of what this thing is all about. But what you have seen throughout the season is you've seen the episodes at Land Cruiser Park when Bobby rolled up at this with the kids in the back. And I think what's probably more fitting back to the reason why we bought this thing when we done our trip down to the Dinghy Derby. Now, we decided to take the MU-X. We had a big crew with us. The whole family flew in, and the 7 seats in the vehicle came in handy for that whole trip. We only needed one vehicle to do what we needed to do for that trip, and there was no other vehicle in our fleet that would have suited. I'm going to run you through today the simple modifications that we've made to the MU-X. It is another one of those vehicles that is there specifically to serve a purpose. Now, still having the ability of being four-wheel drive means that we can obviously get it to everywhere that we need to go, and 3-ton towing capacity for most of the gear that we tow. Obviously, aside from the big trophy truck trailer, there isn't a trailer in our fleet that can't be towed. Now let's get into it. I'll run you through the modifications and the consideration predominantly for a family. If you've got a young family or a medium-sized family, once the kids get 17 and whatever, you probably don't need the 7 seats, but this is a good consideration for an all-round vehicle that your wife can drive every day. She can take it to the shops easy. You can do all your standard commuting, but you can still get out there and go touring with 7-Up in the Isuzu MU-X. Let's get into it. We're going to walk around this vehicle like I usually will. We'll start at the front, we'll go all the way around, then I'll show you the interior and I'll run you through some of the modifications that we've made. Once again, they have been pretty marginal on this vehicle. For this one here particularly, we went with an Ironman bull bar, Ironman scrub rails, and Ironman side steps. We're constantly looking at aesthetics of products that we use and what we fit to particular vehicles. And I think for the multi-purposing that we were going to be doing with the MU-X, knowing that predominantly Bobby was going to be driving it and his family was going to be on board, but there would be situations when, you know, say like the camera crew, the guys that are pretty rough on all of the gear, that might not have all the experience, they're probably the ones that are most likely to damage a guard. I'm going to get shot for that in the editing, guys. It's fact, yeah? So don't get upset about it. It's more than likely it's going to be one of you guys.
Of course you realize this means war.
I can see the smile on the cameraman's face right now. But that's the reason we've gone with the scrub rails. Side steps, obviously, for more protection. Mounted to the front of the bull bar, of course, GME. We've got XRS inside. We've got a 600mm whip, 2.1 dB. If you want to really understand a little bit more about whips and what might be suitable for your vehicle, jump into one of the loading up videos on this channel where I get a little bit more in depth. Biggest thing to consider for me with a whip and the height of the whip before anything else will be the mounting position on where you're going to put it, and ensuring that the top of the whip is under the height of the top of your roof if you're going to be using the car as a daily driver. Obviously, to change them, it's really simple, but let's be honest, once you've got them set up, you really don't change them that often. Actually, that's a lie. I do on touring trips. I'll put on a big long whip, but think about it. If you're going for that look and you want a 1200 mil or even bigger whip, you're going to start struggling getting into car parks, or it gets annoying trying to find the Allen key to remove the whip. There's a little tip. So GME fitted to the front. We've got the Ironman fog lights that are integrated into the bull bar that work on the factory switches. Of course, X-ray 600 mil light bar. Again, for this one, we didn't really need this vehicle to burn the tarmac. This will be a vehicle that will be traveling in our convoy. Very rarely would it be at the front of the convoy, especially when I'm around, because I like to be up the front. So the 600 mil X-ray quad optic is more than enough light for multi-purpose or multi-use. So that's about it for the X-ray light. You know, they're a staple item in the whole Patriot fleet. We don't use any other brand. We put in a TJM 12,000 pound torque winch. You know, I've had a lot of experience with those winches. They are reliable, they do work. We still run them in a lot of the fleet. A winch is not one of those things that I would consider as an absolute necessity for a touring vehicle, but you do need to consider what style of traveling that you're doing. If you're always traveling in a convoy, probably not a necessity, like I said, but if you are Lone Ranger style touring, four-wheel driving, well then it's one of those things that I think that you definitely need. We've just got the standard bash guard that comes with the bull bar, but we do have big recovery points at the front of the vehicle as well. Again, thinking this one will always be in the convoy, and more than likely a recovery will be done by one of the other bigger trucks. What else have we got? Factory fitted options. I'm a big fan of factory fitted stuff, I don't think that you have to, if you've got the opportunity to buy a product from a dealership that has been tested by the manufacturer, warranted by the manufacturer, why would you not go with that product? I'm referring specifically to the Snorkel. So that is a factory fitted option. That is something that you can buy from your Isuzu dealer. All right, under the engine bay. It's basically like looking under a D-Max. We have fitted a second battery kit. I do consider that that is a bit of a necessity as well. Again, it comes down to if you're doing a lot of solo traveling, i.e. single car, that you don't have any mates or you don't take people along with you. Second battery kit is one of those things that in the early days, I used to get caught out all the time. I'm a big fan of pumping the beats out of the car. I think car stereo is going to be better than any portable. And I've flattened batteries many a times and been stranded many a time. So consider that. You can see that mounted up in the back. Century batteries are pretty much a staple item here too. When we go with second batteries, we like to stick with the Australian made stuff. So Century batteries we use quite a lot. You need something to control the charge of the second battery. Think in the early days of even my limited ability of electrical wiring, but still a misconception that everybody has, is you can bolt in the second battery into the engine bay of anything and the alternator is going to charge that battery. That could not be further from the truth. The batteries, the alternators are not designed for that sort of load and to be able to charge two batteries. That's where one of these little things comes in to effect. So this is a REDARC BC-DC 1250D. Fundamentally what it is, it's a standard load battery charger. So what the BC-DC will do, it'll take the input from the alternator and provide a full charge, proper charge, smart charge into your battery and get your battery's capacity up to 100%. An alternator does not have the ability to do that, and it's really just that simple. So you need to do your research. This will obviously control off DC charge. So your DC charge from the alternator, from the engine turning, alternator spinning, a little bit of something goes down a wire, cable goes into this, transfers it into the battery, gives the battery the charge. But you can also input solar into this as well. So if you have fixed mount solar panels, the solar can go through the BC-DC as well, or you can set up an Anderson plug anywhere in the car that you like, and you can put remote solar straight into the BC-DC, which will, once again, this will take control as the regulator and ensure that you're getting 100% charge into your battery. That's something that you can't do with a solar panel directly onto a battery either. REDARC now also supply vehicle-specific mounting brackets for the BC-DC, so you don't have to muck around and jamming tech screws into somewhere that you probably shouldn't in your engine bay. they've done all the engineering and done all the work for you. The 3 litre, same engine as the D-Max, got a 6-speed gearbox behind it, 130 odd kilowatts, 430 odd Newton meters of torque, more than enough for anything in our fleet that we would be towing. Fully loaded toy hauler, maybe not. Patriot camper on the back of this thing, you don't feel it. Very, very similar to driving the old D-Max. Same engine combination that we have in our camera car as well. So only modification under the hood is the second battery kit. That's the only thing that you're gonna find in this. Moving down the side, PCOR wheels. These are a 17x9 in a positive 10 offset that we fitted to these. These are available on Patriot Supply, 1500 kilo load rated. So if you're doing a GVM upgrade, they'll suit any GVM upgrade that you need. I've been a big fan of TOYO tyres, just for the look of TOYO tyres, to be honest, for a long time. This is the first opportunity that we had when we're going through the build and a couple of different items. We've decided to try these out. Open countries, 255/70 17. So you're probably going to be looking somewhere around a 32 inch, bit under a 32, maybe a 31.5. Suspension on this vehicle, Ironman foam cells. It's about a 1.5 inch lift. Very similar to what you would have seen that we just fitted into the new D-Max. They're a coilover in the front, so you've got height adjustment in the front and the foam cell shocks. We actually done a fair bit of work with Ironman on this particular vehicle in getting the valving in the shocks quite right, and I think they've absolutely nailed it. So foam cells, I've said it in previous videos, as a entry level, or I don't like the word budget, but really that's what they are. They're a budget shock, bang for your buck. We love them, we've been using them for a long time. Isuzu has come leaps and bounds from even what I would have thought Isuzu was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. You think of Isuzu, you think of light trucks. But I think Isuzu have really stepped up their game when it comes to passenger vehicles. I'll show you the boot space. This is awesome. When we were down at Dinghy Derby, fully flat floor at the back, Dometic fridge in the back, load all your gear in, kids push bikes, Pee-wee 50s would fit in the back of this. Like, it is so versatile in the back. The amount of shopping, you know, for any sort of trip, anything that you can fit in here would be awesome. Even things as far as the storage. So if you get in here and have a look, the storage area in here, we've got different hitch receivers. We've got some spare parts in here, winch controls, DO35 parts, and this is just all standard stuff that lives in the car, so you always know where it is. So that's about it for modifications and the exterior of the car. Even departure angles and stuff like that with that small lift. We did take it up quite a few gnarly tracks at Land Cruiser Park. We were concentrating on the other cars that weekend. We probably should have gotten a bit more footage or B-roll of this, but you can see no damage at the back. The exhaust is all still intact. So it is a capable, very, very capable little car. Now it is quite similar inside here to the D-Max. Like, you could almost feel like you're inside a D-Max. There's a lot of changes with trimming, I suppose. So it's a little bit more plush in the interior, probably what you'd expect out of a, I don't even know whether they call this an SUV, but that's probably the category that I'd put it into. Sports utility vehicle. You can do everything in an MU-X, and you can do it with 7 people. Again, back to the main reason why we bought it. But I'll quickly just run through controls. Is really what you would expect these days. It's got remote keyless entry. This thing's got all the safety features that you possibly want. Driving position in these things is friggin' awesome. You are nice and high, the glass is nice and low. That's something that I've really noticed. When you are in this, your field of view all the way around and even over the whole passengers in the back is absolutely awesome. That's what you want when you got 5 kids fighting in the back and you're trying to figure out what's going on. Steering wheel controls, obviously everything where it should be. The only 2 modifications that we've made is the GME-XRS. Like I said before, traveling in our convoy now, XRS is the only way that we go. Check out the loading up video on that one as well for a little bit more information. And of course, the other thing that we've added is a REDARC Tow Pro. We've put that right in front of the gear shifter here. You got a massive touchscreen there, navigation, GPS, connect all your phone, Bluetooth, all that sort of stuff. All in all, a really well-rounded car. Now getting into the middle row of seats, it's what you would expect in an SUV, I would assume. Really quite comfy, like really comfortable. Definitely not a 79 series Land Cruiser, I can tell you that right now. Now do these actually, there you go, rear seats recline. You can't do that in a dual cab, so there's a big advantage. Leg room, that's in my lowrider gangster driving position, which is how I drive, seat as far back as I can. They probably come from my early cruising days when you thought that looked cool, when in actual fact, looking back at it, it really wasn't that cool.
Don't drive too fast.
What have we got in here? I've never been in the back. Oh, we have a TV in the back, and I didn't even know that. There you go. Kiddo, oh, there we go. It's coming onto video. Hopefully it's playing Patriot Games. So as you're cruising down the highway, all the kids are in the back. Patriot Games rocking. This is a good way to roll. Air conditioning controls, really important in a 7-seater, hugely important in a 7-seater. The amount of times that I hear from my kids in any vehicle that we have, Dad, turn the back air conditioning on. They can control that all from the back. And actually something I didn't talk about, the stereo on this thing actually pumps. Like it thumps for a standard stereo. There's speakers in the, maybe I should get back in the back of the cars more often. I'm discovering new things. And I'd happily roll in the back. Now, let's get into the rear row. But to do that, we're gonna call in the kids. We're gonna get the kids in here, and we're gonna get the kids in the back, and we're gonna see actually how big it is. Hey kids! Yeah. Here come the kids. They got the day off school today. Come through, boys. You are the ugliest kid I ever had. Whoa, whoa. I need the kids in here. Get in the back.
Do I take my boots off?
Get in the back.
We know I'm going to fit in there. Jeez. Oh.
So there is the access into the back. I've never been into the back of this.
We can even watch Patriot Games while we're cruising.
That's exactly what I just said. What's it like in the back?
I'm good.
Oh, look, we're not going on a trip, but if you want to go down to the pub, let's go.
You can get.
Like if you had to get the boys everywhere.
Dave, you fit good.
Oh, yeah, I'm sweating.
Steve, come on, let's see. I want to see. I want to do this. Watch your feet. There you go. All right, give me a look.
Oh, he's good.
Give me a look in there, Steve.
So cup holders.
How you looking?
I'm good.
Would you go on a long trip in that? Would you go to Ayers Rock in that? No. No, you wouldn't. What if you were like 4?
Oh, definitely.
If you were 4?
I'd put my kids in here.
Yeah, you definitely get. I heard that you were buying an MU-X.
I actually have looked at a few MU-X.
And what was your decision-making process?
I actually really like them.
Yep.
The missus is on board.
Yep.
The only downfall,
Yep.
and this is Bobby told me this.
Yep.
When you run the DVD, it actually plays through the speakers.
Ooh. Who's that?
Bobby's gone.
That's actually Bobby. Where's my phone? That's actually Bobby. And this, oh no, that's my mum. I knew that number was familiar.
Hey, Mum.
Mum, I'm really sorry, but I'll call you back. When you run the TV,
When you run the DVD,
yep,
it actually plays through the stereo.
and that would do your head in.
Yeah.
I'm a big Moana fan.
Right, what about Dora?
Imagine on repeat though.
Dora.
If I hear swipe and no swiping one more time, and that was like 10 years ago, if I hear that one more time, dude, I reckon it would be like a mass suicide.
Swipe or no swiping. Swipe or no swiping. Swipe or no swiping.
Oh, man.
Can we get back on point here for a second? Yeah. So your decision-making process right now is all in regards to how the audio plays through the DVD.
Not really.
That's
I just
important.
play my music.
I reckon you could rewire that.
But this would be more for my wife. I mean, I still got the patrol.
Yeah.
Still drive that around.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a gangster little family car, right?
Perfect.
Your kiddos would be perfect back here.
Yeah.
They're the perfect
Easy.
age.
This is it's just the right size. It's
Oh.
not overkill.
All right. So your experience with the MU-X, you drove this thing all the way to Renmark and back,
I clocked 4,000 Ks up.
and this thing's done 5,500 Ks.
Yeah.
So you have done 80% of the work in this car.
Yeah.
And thoughts?
I was impressed with the drivability
Yep.
on your highway speeds
Yep.
and on rough roads,
Yeah.
but also your town driving as well. Like
Yep.
obviously I had a trailer. on the
Yeah.
back as
With
well.
both the dinghy derby boats.
Yeah, with dinghy derby boats.
How's this combo? MU-X and tinnies.
I've made it to Renmark. So pumped. It's time to go and meet up with the crew now.
Yep.
But it was I remember when I was talking about my first go back from the trip, it was an easy drive.
Yeah.
Because the car, it's smooth, it's light, the steering's crazy light, even with our wheels, all that on it.
So it wasn't like driving one of our big stupid rigs that are pulling you all over the road and you're like fighting the thing the whole way down.
No, it was honestly it was like sitting in a sedan. Cruising. It was just easy. You could really be comfortable.
And how good, I was telling everybody before, how good was it having 7 seats down there in Renmark?
Yeah, it paid off a couple of times.
It did, didn't it? And having the whole crew together, honestly, we had a blast.
Yeah,
you should have been there.
I should have. You know, I was working on other things.
You should have been there. You should have come. You want to swing for me one year?
I'd definitely swing the boat.
Yeah.
I mean, look at me.
That body's built for swinging a dinghy baby boat, isn't it? Anyway, MU-X, check him out, 7-seater, really cool little family car. Really cool little car for when you want to go 7-up, do your general sort of stuff. They really do everything. I'll be honest with you, I'm dailying this at the moment, and I've been dailying this now for a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's nice to have a break and drive something a little bit normal. That's it. Keep an eye out for the next episode of Patriot Garage. What are we going to do next?
Next, GQ Patrol, TB42 Carby.
Episode ends right here. Cut.